How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Eric and Mark here with you guys. And yes, it is another episode of League Unlock. We are switching gears when it comes to player rankings because we've done about as many as we can in NA because we're still waiting on some rosters being finalized, which means it's time to move over to the land of Europia.
Hey, gotta have some fun looking over in Europe at some of the roster changes that we've had go on over there, and looking specifically to start things off with the mid lane and some of the changes here with these players. And I think when you're looking at the mid lane as far as an overall kind of position here for EU, you gotta be thinking that this is a pillar of power here in the region.
And this is the future of the LCS as well, because, you know, after their debut year, or sometimes even split, where they dominate or exceed expectations, NA starts throwing money at them, bring them over to import. We only have one domestic mid laner for 2020, so EU is a farm pool for NA because teams, maybe players can't compete with the top three, they feel, or they just like the weather in Los Angeles, and I'm sure it is quite nice. But we're going 10-1 for mid laners, and there's a lot of fresh blood on the scene, as is always the case for the mid lane. Starting Ronaldo, that's 3 O's, was a support player. He's role swapping to mid for Misfits, and I don't think you can argue against that being 10.
That's got to be where you're going to start off here.
It's a crazy role swap, support to mid.
Hey, I wish you all the luck making that type of move there. That is certainly one that you don't see a lot. A lot of times you see it the other way around here. So moving here from support to mid, wish you luck. But at number 8 here, we got Mickey with Excel, and that is one that I'm really kind of puzzled by the choice here.
He's back, baby.
From Excel to bring him back. And yeah, they were talking. People were kind of like, yeah, Mickey, really? And they're having the same reaction that I am. And Excel's response was, yeah, but remember when we beat Fnatic with Mickey? And it's like, yeah, but remember how you also only had 3 wins that split? Because I remember that type of situation here. This is not exactly the move that I think, I thought I'd see Excel making with the other ones that we saw go on this offseason.
And the potential highs for Mickey that are still there the odd time are why he's one spot ahead of Genax on SK, because he was much better than Pyrion on SK, absolutely no doubt there. But Mickey sometimes will have a pop-off performance, and sometimes he's invisible. Abidage's in at number 7, and he had some... he fell off a bit at Summer, and he kind of just was getting caught out, going too aggressive, dying instantly, but he still has room to grow. It was his first year as a pro.
I think it was a very clear situation where it was a rookie situation of him just struggling in that professional upgrade here to the main stage of the LEC. And as far as the responsibilities and how much you have to treat respect here to what's going on the Rift here, I think we didn't see that throughout consistently from Abidage, but I did like what I saw from the most part here throughout the year, and I think there is still a base to build upon for him.
And the real question will be, can he handle the flame that Forgiven will be throwing his way on that Schalke roster? Debuting at number 6 in his first ever LEC split is Melitza, who, listen, people have been calling for him to come to the main stage for over a year now. He has dominated EU Masters, been around the regional scene for a very long time, and that is one of the reasons why that entire regional infrastructure, why the development is so good in EU. It's because these leagues are so well run, and we've got a Serb coming in, first ever Serbian to play in the LEC, and he has been a featured player for a long time. Very excited to see him on the main stage.
He's been proven throughout these kind of minor leagues that we have seen in EU, and especially throughout last year's performances from him, absolutely up to the level that you need to be for the LEC. Very excited by this. This is kind of that new, a kind of introduction here of that young blood talent stepping into the reins here on the main stage for the LEC, and excited to see him get his shot.
Yeah, and on a rookie roster filled for Vitality, he's probably the most exciting one coming in. Humanoid, speaking of rookies, he is flanked by rookies on this new Mad Lions roster, which is, of course, Splice being rebranded, and the logo's actually pretty slick. Like the lion.
Like seeing the Mad Lions here on the LEC stage, and bringing him this time is the experience that Humanoid gained at Worlds, and this
the big vet one year.
Gotta love that type of experience, bringing it in here. But hey, all it took for someone higher up on this list, like Caps, was that 1 year of Worlds experience to really expedite his growth and how he reached his potential faster. Someone like Humanoid can look to that type of lesson, that type of experience, and try to replicate it here within that Alliance.
And all Nuke Duck does year in and year out is be a top 4 mid laner in Europe. A newly revamped roster for Origin should fuel something new into him. He didn't have as good a summer as he did in spring, but in spring you were talking about him as the second best mid right behind Caps for the majority of it, so definitely deserving of that number 4 spot. But just a little bit below your boy Larssen, who absolutely popped off in the summer split as Rogue went on their crazy run. Didn't get to go to the regional qualifier, but I think we're only starting to see the potential and ceiling for Larssen.
This is one of the most exciting young players we've seen in the EU region for quite a while, actually. I think really kind of popping off right away. This is what you want to be seeing. And especially, hey, we've talked about franchising in North America for a couple of years here, getting franchising in the LEC and having this type of young talent right away popping off for one of these new organizations really is an exciting thing to think about, and how the potential for them and for himself can only keep going higher as we head towards this next year.
And he's already got a little bit of revenge, redemption story coming into this year because of how their season ended with him playing so well in a game until he decides to, bring the package into the enemy fountain and call it a series.
Hey, we've seen some players make some really bad mistakes here, and they seem to be kind of the fat finger mistakes here, slipping over, making that mistake, and I'm pretty sure that will be one for Larssen, and I know that he's going to have that mental strength to bounce back and be better this year.
And when that's kind of your lasting memory heading into the offseason because it's your last game, you're probably extra inspired to get back on the stage and completely destroy Inspired, name of his jungler. Excellent. Shout out there. So Larssen in the top 3, incredible for how young his career still is. As we go to the top 2, and yes, there's no arguing against Caps being number 1. And as we go through these rankings for every position, there's probably going to be a slight theme of G2 members coming in that top spot. Another World Finals, completely different team for Caps. Yes, he still has a little bit of variance between Craps and Claps, but each year we see more and more of just good old-fashioned Claps.
Yeah, and you have to be thinking throughout the entirety of this past Worlds that we just saw, you saw more of Claps than you did of Craps, and I think that is a big difference compared to the past year, where for the most part throughout Fnatic's long run to the finals, you did see, yes, some highlights from Caps, but it was a lot of Craps performances. This time, all about the Claps here with G2 throughout 99% of this year. Got that performance, and he is absolutely your number 1 performing mid laner in EU.
The man beat Faker in back-to-back best-of-5 series, and the man behind him, Nemesis, also held his own against Faker his first year. The man who had incredibly big shoes to fill when Caps left Fnatic. It was slow for Fnatic in spring, as we saw, but very quickly when Fnatic decided, hey, maybe we should actually play around with this rookie a little bit, he quickly skyrocketed to a top 3 mid laner in EU, and heading into 2020, I think he's right there vying behind Caps for that top spot.
We just need to see some continued progression here in the career of Nemesis. This has been an exciting start so far, especially considering his time on Fnatic here and the way it started out, thinking, man, how is he ever going to replace Caps here? How are they going to get that level of performance right away? Because again, you wanted to see success with this Fnatic lineup. This roster is built for success now, not in the future. And hey, Nemesis stepped up last year, and he is certainly going to be a big part of their revitalization here with Selfmade this year.
And it's just crazy, again, looking at the talent and youth level in Europe when Caps is kind of the veteran guy who's been there for a while. He's 20 years old, basically, and all these 17-year-olds are trying to vie for that top spot. Mid lane, as always, is going to be a hoot to watch in the LEC for 2020.